Sam and her burping habits.
Or lack thereof, more like it.
During the intro, I would have been so happy. My first burp during the podcast intro.
Welcome to Woodshop 101. This is episode 159 for September 16, 2019. I'm Jeremy Crawford of the Countryside Workshop, and I'm joined today by my co-host Sam Wooddell of SamRyan Designs, Drew Short of Rock-n H
How would it be
Just burp. And our guest host Amanda Green from Rustic Home. So, why are we all laughing right now? We just had this like 25-minute long conversation about Sam and her burping habits.
Or lack thereof, more like it.
During the intro, I would have been so happy. My first burp during the podcast intro. Yes. Yeah. But yes, guys, I don't know how to burp, but we can get back on topic. We don't have to go into how I don't know how to burp. But
that's going to be the question of the day right there.
All right, so let's thank our Patreons. John Ramminger, Sean McHenry, Carl Mose, Neil Sims, Eric Rhoten, and Kenneth Aponte. And if you want to become a patron of our Patreon campaign, head over to patreon.com/woodshop101. All our patrons will receive an after show twice a month as a benefit. You can also support the show by purchasing some podcast swag at countrysideworkshop.com/shop. While you're at it, go leave us a 5-star rating on the podcast player of your choice. I'm really working right now. Hopefully by the time you hear this episode, we'll have the new swag up. I'm actively working to get all the old stuff down with all of our old emblem and all the new stuff populated. Really trying to focus on the winter stuff, some different hoodies and things like that that we're going to try to get put up for the winter time. You know, for those of us up here in the north, that's already like 50 degrees, and I'm shivering because I'm from South Carolina that's still 120. So,
what's it where you're at, Amanda?
Like 110 today. It's hot.
What about you, Drew?
Like Arizona temperatures?
Yeah.
What about you, Drew? What's the temperature there?
Today it was 96, but my shop was 68.
Sam?
Yesterday was 100. Today was weird. Today was only in the 80s.
Today was
Our weather is
78.
weird here. It goes up and down.
Though.
Yeah.
I would have liked the 80s. That'd been nice.
Ours is 78 today.
It is really nice because you're like, sweet. It's going to start to be cooler. It's going to be in the 80s, 70s. And then you're like, shoot, now it's 100. Like my car said 109 yesterday.
Or shoot, it's like 10 degrees and snow everywhere.
Yeah.
Ew.
So
I like to stay in the 50s, 60s, 70s. If I could stay in that, that would be great.
I would prefer to stay high 60s, low 70s. That's where I'm comfortable.
Yeah. And then like a couple months where it's like summer and hot, but then like the rest of the year stays like that, and it would snow still, but it wouldn't be freezing. That would be awesome.
the world's coming to an end if that happens.
Well, that would be my perfect world.
So, all right, well, let's get on topic here. We're going to talk about some kind of finishing 101, more about like some stains, oil-based versus water-based stains, and some brands that we prefer and kind of like the best application. We're going to kind of get on a finishing series over the next month or two, and just kind of talk a little bit about different types of finishes, things like that, to kind of see where we stand, what we like, and hopefully get some feedback from all of you as to what you prefer and what you like, or maybe a product that you've used that we haven't. So let's start off oil-based versus water-based. Drew, what's the biggest difference between oil-based and water-based?
Well, the biggest thing is drying time for one. But I also find that oil base seems to be it looks to have a much richer appearance than water base. So I've always tried to steer towards oil based stains. And if you don't mind the cure time, then and if you have that worked into your schedule, then it's not a big deal. But if you're on a tight time crunch, definitely water base will help your project turn over on a faster pace. You just have to be careful what kind of finishes you put on top of it. It's got to be a water-based finish.
Okay. So what are we talking about difference in cure time? Are we talking about like hour, 2 hour difference? Are we talking about day?
I typically leave oil-based stains to cure for at least overnight. Water-based stains, I guess it varies upon manufacturers too as to how much water is in their product. But I think a water-based stain can cure in just a matter of I think it's between 2 and 4 hours. But oil-based stains, it needs at least 8 hours of dry time.
Okay. So, all right. Well, what? So you said a little bit what you prefer. You prefer oil-based for the richness, how it kind of brings out those amber tones, right? Amanda, what is your kind of go-to? Do you prefer oil-based, water-based?
Well, honestly, we don't have that big of a selection of oil-based out here. They don't really sell it in California. Yeah, which sucks because I try to find it all the time and no place carries it. I've only worked with oil-based a handful of times just because of where I'm at. But other than that, it's all water-based. It's all I can use out here. So I don't really have that much knowledge in the oil-based. I have some old cans, which was a huge mistake. I found in the shop that I moved into, there was an old poly that was left in there, and I used it, and it was terrible. I think it was terrible. I think it was too old. Totally ruined my island top. I had to redo the whole thing.
You move in. Oh, look at this gold mine. All this old, all this finish.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
I was like, sweet. I'm gonna try this. Bad mistake.
It's just a little gummy. It's okay.
It was a tad gummy. But you live and you learn. Yeah, it's all water based out here, so.
So you just don't have much of an option.
Not really.
All right. What about you, Sam? What do you prefer?
Mainly oil based for staining and not finish. I like water based finishes, but I'm not I don't do as many different finishes as Drew. I just do the polyacrylic. That's really about it. But then my stains are all oil based because I don't like the water based because I don't like it have you have extra steps in popping the grain and raising the grain, and then if you overlap, then it might not look the same.
Sometimes it cures a little too fast, right? Mm-hmm. Or it starts drying in certain spots, and you get those overlapping marks, which definitely is a pain. I would say if it's far as staining for me, I'm gonna lean towards probably the more oil based, just for really kind of what both of y'all have said. Color looks a little bit better. It doesn't dry near as fast, so it's a little bit easier to get it applied without having to worry about overlap marks and all this. But I still typically go through the process of raising the grain, even on oil-based products. I couldn't answer why I do. I think at this point it's still a habit, but I don't necessarily pop the grain with just a preconditioner from Minwax or something. I use a Charles Nil product that he specially designed as a blotch control, and that's really why I use it, is to control the blotch. And it just happens to it raises the grain, so I go back and sand it. But
so it's a water-based conditioner.
Yeah. But it's so I've used both the Minwax and some of the other brands, their pre-stain conditioners, and it's a little bit different, right? Because all the Minwax products that I've used, the pre-stain or whatever. You put it on, you let it dry, you sand it off, or sand back the grain, and then you can apply your finish. The Charles Nil product, you put it on, you let it dry for an hour, and then you put on a second coat, let it dry for 8 hours, and then you go back and lightly sand it, and it kind of strengthens the fibers of the wood. So it's got, without too scientific in it because I don't really know, but it's got some kind of strengthener in it that actually strengthens the fibers, that makes them a little bit stronger. So I prefer that, but like I said, I use it regardless of oil-based, water-based. The one like caveat to like water-based that I love for like larger like tabletops, flat surfaces is a gel stain, water-based gel stain. And that's just because I feel like it goes on so smooth and so quick, but it is definitely a pain to take off because
it is
it's so thick.
Yeah, I've used it. I've used it on oak a lot. Whenever I have a issue with porous materials, oak is real porous, and if you use an oil stain, it does not look good. But that gel stain seems to be a very even coverage on porous materials like oak. So yeah, I had good luck with it. But like you said, it is a pain to take off.
Yeah, it is. What have Sam or Amanda, have y'all used gel stain before?
I have a couple times, yeah.
And I don't. It's too like. I don't know.
You're right.
It's very thick.
It's very thick.
I mean, yes.
And I don't like
gel, but you're right. At least me can only apply it on certain projects. It's got to be like a large flat surface. If we're doing anything with like curves and things like that, no, I'm doing something different.
Yeah.
I don't. At that point, I don't even want to stain. I hate staining when it's like not flat surfaces, just because
I know.
If you don't get everything sanded perfectly, it's like, oh, that one little strip that I didn't get sanded great, it's a little bit darker. So
we've actually been lately staining everything before we put it together.
Yeah,
so if I have nothing that's flat, I just finish it all real quick, but then I just put the finish on when it's all together, which I should just do it all at once, but I'm like too impatient to wait. So
yeah. See, I've been getting in a habit of sanding everything prior to assembly.
Yep.
So I don't have the nooks and crannies. But my staining, I've actually started spraying as of late, and it gets into all those tight spaces. Not to mention, I don't have a blotch problem whenever I spray. I don't know why, but it just seems to go on at a better, like a more uniform coverage. And I don't have like, I spray my stains out of my gun.
Your oil-based stains?
Yeah.
Out of your HVLP?
Uh-huh.
Never tried that.
And it goes on super even. And I don't have like a conglomeration of stain here from, your brush whenever you take it out of the can, and it just kind of goes blah in that one spot, and you're trying to get it smoothed out. I don't have that problem with spraying, so I find it to be a much better, even, unique, uniform coverage with spray.
What size
Does it get drippy at all?
The tip is a 1.0. What'd you say, Amanda?
Does it get like drippy? Like when you spray it, does it start to drip anywhere? Like there's
not if you use a small needle.
Okay.
Now, if you use something big, you're going to have lots of splatter.
Yeah.
But I use a small needle, and the product coming out of the gun, I turn way down, so it's not just blasting it with stain.
Yeah.
Because
I've sprayed dye finishes before, but not just for that reason.
Yeah.
It's quick to get on and so you can wipe it off. I've never thought about using oil-based, mainly for the fact of trying to clean out the gun. I think is one that I've kind of steered me away from it.
Well, I fill up another cup with mineral spirits, so I take the stain cup off, put the mineral spirit cup on, and then I just spray it out of the gun for a good 15 minutes, and it makes cleanup of the gun afterwards way easier.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to spray my grandpa's slab once I move all that stuff out of the way, and he's done dye. That's what I was going to say before in his sprayer, but I don't know if he's ever done oil-based. Yeah. I'll have to ask him.
So you use a 1.0 needle, and so I mean that's smaller. So I use a 1.3 for like all my clear finishes, my lacquer, and all that other. Is that what you use for lacquer, or do you use a 1.0 for lacquer?
No, the stain is all I use the 1.0 for. My 1.3, which is a pretty general purpose needle, nitrous cellulose lacquer, I blow through a 1.3, but pre-cat lacquer, I go up to a 1.8.
Dang. We'll have to get into that.
I was just gonna say we need to get into all this because I can't write this all down.
Yeah. Well, that will be right. So we'll talk about top coats in another episode. But
that should be. I was just gonna say it's whole episode.
It kind of led into that. Sorry.
Yeah. So. I will say I use Rubio a lot. That is a product that I use a lot. A lot. Everything that I'm building for that house is all Rubio.
It does give me a headache, though. I don't know.
What?
Yeah, it gives me a headache.
I could smell that stuff every day. I wish I could put 2 of them up my nostrils and smell all day.
See, I did something in the house, and it was very ventilated, but after it set and started off-gassing a little bit, even though it's 0 VOC, it still gives me a headache.
That's so funny. Yeah, because it's all natural. It smells that great. You could drink it. The only reason why I know that is because the rep from Rubio, he was in Germany or something, and he had so many bottles to bring back. Like, I forget where he was. He was somewhere overseas, and he was trying to bring bottles back. And they were like, no, you can't bring them in. And he was like, there's no chemicals in them. They're fine. They're, like, all natural. Look, I'll drink it and show you there's nothing going to happen to me. And he drank it.
He's on the plane going...
Yeah, pass out.
It's fine.
Yeah. Fine. I don't think it smells horrible, but I don't think it smells great either.
I love it. I wish my house smelled like that, but you guys wouldn't like coming to my house because then you would think it smelled like crap.
Sam's been drinking.
So I've used it on a few smaller projects. In fact, the last project I did out of my old shop, the day I was leaving town, I did a shadow box, huge, just like 2 feet by 4 feet, rectangle, heavy as all get out. But I did their Rubio. I think it was charcoal, is what I put on it.
Yeah.
I like it. It was great, but also it kind of felt very finicky to me to just try to get in all the curve, like all the the corners, the 90-degree corners and everything. Like it just felt.
Did you just use a scraper?
No, I used a balled up cotton rag to get into like all the nooks and crannies and stuff. And I felt
they have like these sponges.
That way.
Oh yeah, they have these sponges. They're amazing because then once you get like it saturated, it just continues to be saturated, and then that's what I use in like the little nooks and crannies. So I highly recommend. They're worth the buying them. They come in like a pack of 10, I think, and I just cut them in half.
You know what I didn't think about now
one side and one side.
What I didn't think about at all that I wonder is worth a shot is and I don't even know if they make this anymore. All right, I remember thinking back to when my mom put on makeup, those little wedge makeup
Oh yeah, that would totally work.
Do they still make those things?
About that.
Yeah,
they do.
Okay,
they do.
I wonder if that would work.
Get those magic blenders that look like big old balls.
I might have to
try it tomorrow.
I might have to go to Sally's Beauty Supply and
get some.
So
I know. Well, their sponges are like that, itchy texture,
Yeah.
So it really gets in there, and then it just stays. I don't know. It's nice. I will say that real quick before we end the episode that I like the Rubio because I like Minwax and the oil-based stains that they have. I like the colors. I tend to mix them together to get my own custom color, but Rubio colors I feel like are so pretty. I don't know. And I'm mainly building in oak, so I feel like white 5% is always what people choose because it's the natural color of the oak, but it gives that little bit of the white in the grain. And I just feel like that's what a lot of my clients are wanting right now, which is that what a lot of your clients are wanting, Amanda?
Yeah, basically the same kind of.
That look. Like the Restoration Hardware look?
Yeah. I
feel like that gives it to you. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I got the wrong clients, I think, because all mine are wanting it dark.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I rarely
dark
get that.
walnut, special walnut, something like that. They're wanting it dark.
See, I feel like it also depends on where you live.
Yeah,
that's true. I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are talking about the Rubio stuff, and I use Minwax for a long time, but for some reason to me, Minwax gets sticky, real sticky, and even blowing it out of my gun, I just don't like how it wipes off. If you don't wipe it off very fast, it gets real sticky.
Yeah.
So I switched from Minwax to Varathane, and I really like Varathane's formula. The only problem that I have with Varathane is that it just seems a little thin. Like their colors seem a little, even though it's oil based, it's a little watered down.
Mm-hmm. A little too much carrier.
Yeah, so you have to apply probably 2 coats of Varathane to equal 1 coat of Minwax, and I think that the thing that makes Minwax as dark as it is, or as true to the color on the can as it is that sticky crap that they put in it.
Yeah, definitely.
What, Amanda? What's your go-to brand? What do you prefer to use
for stain?
Yeah.
I typically use either Minwax or General Finishes.
Yeah. I mean, that's me. Every once in a while, I'll use, Varathane or Minwax, but I try to stick to General Finishes. I feel like their product is a little bit more durable.
Yeah.
So if I already use that's all I use for top coats is General Finish products. So I feel like if I'm already using it, they've probably designed their top coats to work pretty well with their other products, milk paint, stains, things like that. So I try to generally stick with General Finishes if I can.
Yeah. Do you guys ever use, this is totally odd, but the Thompson's water seal? Do you use that for anything?
For outdoor stuff, I have
in the past. Not recently.
But going back to the restoration hardware type stuff that me and Sam were just talking about, I feel like everybody wants that look with no shiny, no top coat or whatever. But that water seal works amazing. If you guys haven't used it before, it's amazing.
I've done it for outdoor stuff because film finishes outdoors most of the time 100% fail because people aren't going to take care of them, and even stuff with Thompson's water seal, they're not going to take care of it.
Yeah.
So I find that it's really, really good for outdoor projects.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's how my clients are. They want the matte, and Minwax has the polyacrylic matte finish, and then Varathane has it too. And I'm not a fan of the Varathane one. It is so thick. I don't like it.
See, and
it's not even the triple thick one. You know how they have the super thick one? I don't know. Something about it, I don't like it. But I do like that it goes on a purpley hue, because then you can kind of see where you're hitting and you don't have to lean down. But I don't know if you guys have noticed it being super thick.
Varathane's version of
the polyacrylic. It's like a water-based poly.
Oh, no, I haven't used theirs. I've done Minwax. That's it. Do you find the Varathane is stronger than Minwax's formula?
It's
more durable?
Thicker.
But do you find it's more durable?
No, I don't think so. I would say they're the same. I don't know. I'm comparing it to Precat lacquer, and I know it's nowhere near as strong as Precat lacquer, but I've never tried a different brand of polyacrylic, because when I went to Kelly Moore Paints to get some Precat lacquer, I also asked for some polyacrylic, and they're like, "Oh, we don't have that. I don't know what that is." So it has to be like a Home Depot or it is because
so polyacrylic. I think of the actual polyacrylic term is a Minwax term.
I think it is too.
It's all that is a water-based
poly.
Yeah, it's a water-based polyurethane. Right, so General Finishes has high performance, which is the exact same thing.
Exactly, so, and theirs is awesome, except for the boutique that carries them is kind of far away from me. So, sorry.
That's interesting. I might have tried General Finishes because I haven't done anything outside of Minwax.
Yeah, I would like to say once you go to General Finishes, you're probably not going to go back.
It finishes so nicely.
Ultimately, it really depends on if you have it around you. Generally, if you have a Woodcraft or a Rockler, close by, they carry most of all the product.
I've got a Woodcraft, but it's like 30 minutes away.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah. I finally have a Woodcraft again, but you know what? I'll drive the 30 minutes to go, because I mean, if y'all don't remember, like I had such a hard time in Charleston trying to get any like reputable finish. So like I'm glad to be back into part of the country that I can get, you know, product without having to try to get it through Amazon or somewhere else.
Do you guys have like small boutiques that carry chalk paint? Because oftentimes they carry general finishes.
Yeah. So we did in South Carolina. I don't know about here. But they would only carry very few things of general finishes. They would have like their milk paint or their chalk paint as well. And then like their high performance, I think, and then one or two other things. But
yeah, see, our boutiques here are like stocked. You walk in and it's everything general finishes you can possibly think of. They have every stain. I mean, it's great. Paint, the milk paint, they have like the chalk paint, and then they have all the finishes, and then they have like this gold stuff too. It's really cool. And to go off on this, and then we can end the episode, is we didn't really talk about paint, but tomorrow I'm going to talk about this new chalk paint that I found. And I've always been Annie Sloan. I've always loved it, but the girls that first let me put my first table in a little boutique, they started using this new paint called Jolie, and it is so smooth and not watery, but it just goes on nicely. It goes a lot further than Annie Sloan. They're the same exact price, and she actually has 42 different colors. She makes it here in the U.S. in Louisiana. And you can buy like this little pamphlet that has a ton of pages in there, and it is different formulas. So you can take like her graphite and her, let's say, her French linen. And if you do 1 part this, 2 parts this is what your color will look like. And she gives you then like 120 different color options. It is mind blowing.
That's pretty cool.
And they love it because that's their whole business. They have like boutique-y items, but then they go out searching for antiques and paint them and restore them. And once they sell out of Annie Sloan, they're not ordering anymore, and they're just going fully her and general finishes. So if you have it in your area, definitely check it out.
Yeah. So the one thing, and I don't know, the only thing I know is the Annie Sloan, because that's what everybody seemed to use when they were doing their Shiny Too Chic stuff. I just don't care for it because of the wax. Like, you get a house that's got dogs in it or whatnot, like that wax never fully like quite. It's always got a tack to it, so stuff sticks to it, and you got to reapply the wax. And like, I'm not building you a piece of furniture that like that you're gonna want to have to maintain on a constant basis of reapplying waxes.
Yes. So the ladies at the boutique, they and my grandfather and I don't use the wax. You don't have to use the wax. She actually uses polyacrylic a lot of the times to put on top of her finish. So then you don't have that sticky, tacky feel, and it still looks flat and it won't get scratched up. I use that when my clients want it to look like metal, and I just use the Annie Sloan graphite, and then I put the polyacrylic finish on, and it finishes really nicely. So then it seals it in. Dogs aren't going to scratch it. Kids aren't going to scratch it. It's not going to chip unless you want that look for it to be chippy and whatnot. But they changed their formula back in November, and they changed their distributor, so it is a little different than it always has. So last November, that's when it happened. So then that's why they started on this new Jolie, and it's a lot better. Yeah.
So General Finishes has something similar with their their color chart. I've only seen it online, and you just have to go Google General Finishes like milk paint color mixer or something. But they do the same thing that I thought was really cool. You know, they offer like you said, 2 parts this and 2 parts that makes this color. So, all right. Well, does anybody else have anything? Any more knowledge bombs to drop on oil and water-based stains?
I'll just add this one little thing, that if you guys are first getting into doing finishing and you're looking for more of a DIY kind of approach, I would definitely try your hand at water base first. Oil just requires a little bit more of a little more experienced hand, but doing things like preconditioning and things will help you out in the oil-based field. But water-based is a definite DIY approach, and clear finishes like polyacrylic are so much easier to apply than, say, polyurethane and things of that nature. So definitely lean towards those areas if you're just getting into finishing.
Yeah, you're right. And you don't have to worry about like the after effects of the oil too. Like, oh, I can't ball up these rags because they could catch fire and things like that. Like oil-based, throw them right in the trash can and you should be good.
Water-based.
Did I say oil-based? Water-based. You're right. Yeah. Oil-based. No. Oil-based, you don't want to do that. So...
All right. Lots of good information. We hope you guys like this particular episode. I always enjoy talking about finish work. Just kind of helps keep my mind poised for things, thinking outside the box when it comes to finishing. And, the more experience you get, the more you want to try. So hearing other people's experiences with other finishes is really cool to get more ideas. So, Amanda, you are on for the second time. We want to thank you for coming on. And you are going to be on the after show for the Patreons of the show, or patrons of the show. You will be able to catch an after show with her. So go ahead and tell our listeners, if they want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to go about doing so?
You can find me on Instagram at the Rustic Home, or email rustichomeco.com. Or just kidding, the Rustic Home Co. at gmail.com.
You don't have it.
I feel like it's 10 o'clock my time, you guys. I'm like over here dying. I don't know how you guys are awake right now.
I think she's saying boring. So if you want to get in contact with Jeremy, Sam, or myself, we do have respected websites, which is countrysideworkshop.com, SamRyanDesigns.com, and RHWoodshop.com. All of our contact information is there, social media, things of that nature. And if you want to contact the podcast itself for all three of us, you can email us, kickback@woodshop101podcast.com. You can also send us a voice memo app on your phone. You can send us a voicemail either that way or through the phone number, which is 409-234-3959. If you have any comments, tips, suggestions, complaints, or just want to say hello, we would love to have those and put those on air. And we'll make you famous for 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yeah, because we got to talk about what they said, dude. And we ramble. We
do ramble.
So we want to thank Amanda once again for being on the show and for all the great information that she has shared with us these past 2 episodes. So from Jeremy, Sam, Amanda, and myself, we want to wish you guys well. Please be safe in your shops. We'll talk to you on the after show. So 1, 2, 3. Boom!